Hey, what's up everyone? Hope you're having a solid day and ready to talk about this massive new Helldivers 2 update because it really shakes up the feel of the game in ways you'll notice the moment you drop into a mission. The update landed as a substantial balance and content shift, and instead of giving us a small handful of tweaks, the devs went pretty wide this time, touching weapons, enemies, attachments, ammo, and even dropping in a new Warbond with some flashy gear that people have been waiting to try out. One of the biggest things you'll feel right away is how much better primaries perform. For a while now, a lot of players have leaned extremely hard on special purpose weapons or certain stratagems, because primaries sometimes felt like support tools instead of your main source of power. This patch gives several primary guns the love they needed. Damage increases, better handling, and a more reliable performance curve, so you can actually trust them in long engagements. It doesn't turn every single primary into a monster, but the buff is strong enough that you'll start noticing you don't have to fall back on your specialist gear every time the fight escalates. It gives missions a more fluid rhythm because you aren't constantly trying to preserve ammo on the one weapon that actually gets the job done. You can now push forward more confidently with your standard rifle, which honestly feels closer to what Helldivers combat is supposed to be: chaotic, adaptable, and not entirely dependent on a single crutch weapon. The optics also got a welcome improvement, especially magnified scopes. Before this patch, picking a high zoom scope always came with this weird ergonomic tax that made your gun feel like you were lugging around a piece of heavy machinery instead of a precision instrument. The update reduces that penalty, so you can slap on a magnifying optic without feeling like your character is fighting your own gun the whole time. Aiming flows smoother, target tracking is cleaner, and long-range builds finally feel less like a self-imposed handicap. Anyone who likes picking off targets from a distance or supporting their squad with more tactical shooting is going to instantly notice the improvement. Instead of thinking, do I really want to deal with that slow aim penalty again? You can just equip the scope you like and get straight to playing. Enemy tuning is another key part of this patch, and honestly, it's one of the changes that will affect your moment-to-moment gameplay the most. War Striders, Bile Spewers, and Stalkers, three enemies known for creating absolute chaos, got toned down in ways that make encounters less punishing without turning them into pushovers. The idea isn't that they're suddenly easy. It's more that the unfair moments get smoothed out. Fewer sudden insta-wipe moments, fewer unavoidable flanks where a stalker deletes a teammate before anyone realizes it's there, and fewer situations where a spewer's attack zones feel like an unescapable death sentence. You still need to respect them, you still need to play smart, but the frustration factor is noticeably lower. It makes the overall pacing of missions feel more manageable, especially for squads trying higher difficulties without running a highly optimized comp. Sidearms also saw some subtle tweaking, mostly around ammunition. This is the kind of change that seems small on paper, but matters a lot during longer missions. Pistols sit in this interesting space where they're either your emergency backup, or, for some players, a surprisingly consistent tool for weak spot hits or quick target switching. Adjusting ammo availability and stats reshapes where pistols fit in the overall loadout ecosystem. Now they feel a bit more intentional, rather than just the weapon you pull out when everything else runs dry. You might find yourself using your sidearm more than usual, simply because the ammo economy supports it better. And then there's the new Warbond, which is definitely going to grab players' attention for the sheer style points alone. The Python Commandos drop brings several pieces of gear that add a fresh layer of fun to both loadout builds and moment-to-moment combat. The standout additions include a chaingun-style weapon with that heavy, satisfying fire output, a flamethrower drone that attaches to your backpack and spits fire while you're busy dealing with other threats, and a brutal melee option that's basically a chainsword, something fans of sci-fi melee carnage are absolutely going to love. These items aren't just cosmetic flair, they meaningfully change how you can approach fights. Maybe you want to become a walking suppression turret, maybe you want mid-range coverage with a fiery drone companion, or maybe you want to focus on melee aggression with raw style. Whatever direction you go, the Warbond gives you new toys to experiment with, and that alone injects a lot of excitement into loadout experimentation. Behind all this content, though, the devs have been upfront about something important. They're pacing releases more carefully to protect performance and stability. The game has had ups and downs in that area, and instead of rushing out back-to-back big drops, they're taking a more deliberate approach so that fixes land cleanly, the game stays smooth, and new content doesn't break things. Players have been vocal about wanting better stability, and the studio acknowledging that and adjusting their approach is a promising sign. What this all amounts to is a shift in the broader feel of Helldivers 2. Gameplay is slowly moving away from strict counter-building, where you needed the exact right weapon to handle a specific threat, and instead encouraging squads to bring more balanced kits. Primaries matter more now. Enemies are still dangerous, but less unfair. And the new gear expands creative options without forcing one dominant playstyle. This means your squad can explore different strategies, trust their base kit more, and push higher difficulties with a smoother curve rather than a brick wall of sudden enemy spikes. And from a player's perspective, this update just makes jumps into missions more fun. You feel more capable, more in control, and more able to adapt to unpredictable battlefield situations. The improvements to weapon feel, the easing of painful enemy behavior, the ammo tweaks, the flashy new Warbond gear, all of it combines into a patch that genuinely changes the vibe without breaking the identity of the game. It's still chaotic, still explosive, still full of desperate last-second moments, but now it's a little less punishing in the wrong ways and a lot more rewarding in the right ones. Overall, this patch is a strong mix of refinement and creativity. Weapons feel better, enemies feel fairer, gear feels fresher, and mission flow feels smoother. If you haven't jumped in yet, this is definitely one of those updates that's worth spending some time with just to feel the differences firsthand.